aside from biology on Earth, do you have any thoughts on how we ought to think about what makes something alive versus not alive, or biological versus not biological?
Right. That's what the whole biological realm part is about. And you know, there have been lots of uh, ink spilt over exactly what an organism is. I mean, organisms are biological beings, um, and so if you define an organism as something that has a beginning, that grows through its own processes, its own initiative, changes over time, repairs itself in injury, um, is able to interact with the world, and at some point will run out of steam and die. So some of those features you would put into a machine, right? It has a beginning and it ends. The beginning of a machine, though, is always built by another agent, right? It's not spontaneously arise, and it's not going to spontaneously grow unless you've programmed it to do that. But that's somebody programming it to do it. Um, but I mean, the other thing is the way an organism does all those things. It has its own energy source, its own energy machine, metabolism. It needs energy from the outside to sustain that oven, but you have an oven that keeps your system percolating along day to day, as long as you keep giving it the nutrients that it needs to do that. And an organism replicates, self-replicates, which is a very important thing. So you need metabolism for the existence of life, but you need replication for the persistence of life.
Hmm.
And
Do you
self-replication, not
do you know the name Michael Levin by any chance? He's at Tufts.
sounds familiar, but I don't know if I maybe thinking of a different level.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he was
What's
on the show recently, and he does some very interesting work on synthetic biology and synthetic life and cognition. And one of the ways that he thinks about life is that all life is solving problems, and it's not just solving problems on one scale, but living things, at least as we know them, have multi-scale competence hierarchies. So, I mean, at humans, for instance, on one level, we're driving cars. Another level, we have organs that are figuring out pumping blood, and another level, we have cells that are replicating, doing all sorts of things. And I think that's a neat way of looking at life as well.
right, but that only works for a multicellular organism. You have to account for a bacterial cell, single cell microbes as well when you talk about that. But they too are machines that are solving problems all day. It's just life is a life is a problem, and you have to sustain it. You have to solve the problem continuously.
Hmm. Well, bacteria, I think, still have these multi-scale problems in that one, maybe they're uh, hunting around for other bacteria to eat, and then inside of the cell, they have to deal with replication. And I mean, there are things going on at different scales still.
Right. So it turns out that bacteria are not predators. They don't, at least in the research I did for my other book, Deep History, the Deep History of Our Cells. The first predators were eukaryotes, and eukaryotes, were a combination of two kinds of bacteria, like a plastic bacterial cell and then an archaebacterial cell, where the archaebacterial or archaea cell either sucked in or allowed in a bacterial cell, and the bacterial cell of the archaea, inside the archaea, became the mitochondria, the energy machine, and that was the process through which eukaryotes came to exist. And eukaryotes we can thank for two things. One is sex, because they were the first sexually reproducing organisms. Another was death, because bacterial cells just continuously divide. So it's been said the first bacterial cell ever is still part of every bacterial cell alive today. Whereas eukaryotes didn't just split in half. They generated they had a fertilized egg that generated another eukaryotic cell. So they gave us sex and death, but they were the first predators. They would, eat other eukaryotes and plants and other things, and bacteria. So at least that's my understanding of that.